in the 1990s. Anybody else seen that? It's really, really good. And if if you have the misfortune of being a Cowboys fan, you would probably appreciate it. If you're not a Cowboys fan, my wife even watched it, and she actually said she enjoyed it because she likes to watch documentaries that are about winners. And the Cowboys were winners in the 1990s, and they haven't been really winning anything since then, but they kept close though. They actually had a good run about 10 years ago, but they've really struggled a little bit. But actually, that documentary is interesting because it also speaks to just so many different dimensions of the things we talk about in class in terms of leadership, things that we've discussed, like just what that means to build a team, putting the ego to the side so you can actually achieve a common goal, uh, which will come through healthy relationships, things like that, right? It also talks about the way Jerry Jones was the owner of the Cowboys, how he was able to become the owner of the Cowboys, what he had to do, the chances he had to take, the money he had to spend. And he even said something this morning that was really interesting, where he talked about the cost of winning a Super Bowl. He said, if I was to show you on a piece of paper how much it costs to win a Super Bowl, you would probably freak out because the number's pretty massive. And so that's when you have to make that decision between, the economic outcomes and the symbolic outcomes, right? Because, Super Bowls are nice. But if you have to spend $1 billion to win one, some people would say that that's not a good trade-off. But anyway, it's an interesting documentary and just so many other lessons in terms of choices and things like that. I thought it was very well done. So it's called America's Team. It's on Netflix right now, and you can feel free to take a look at it. Coach Prime's even featured in it. He was an instrumental part of that amazing football team. And Coach Prime, if you're not old enough to remember how good he was, there's a reason why he's so cocky now. This man was just superhuman. I feel bad for his sons though, because those because I think he probably should have like went and found like had kids with a lady in the Olympics or something, because then his kids would have inherited his amazing speed. Because I don't think his kids have what he had, and but they got the attitude. I don't know if they got the physical assets. I mean, Dion was amazing as an athlete. But anyway, that's enough of that. All right, so anyway, but the documentary, if you're looking for a financial lesson, there's a lot of financial lessons in there. A lot of economic conversations about trade negotiations, economic choices, risk taking, the difference between ownership and the manager. A lot of us, when we're not raised in a culture of ownership, we think that if you work hard for a business, you should get rewarded the same way the owner of the business gets rewarded. I'm not saying that you don't deserve credit for your hard work, but life just don't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And remember, anybody can be the owner. You can go and figure it out and take the chances and the risk, put the money up, risk, put your whole life savings on the line, whatever it is, if you want to be the owner. But unfortunately, a lot of people they want to be the boss, but they may not want to pay the cost to be the boss, because being the owner doesn't just mean that you get credit when things go well, but you also get the blame when things don't go well. That was why actually yesterday I did an analysis of a statement by Tabitha Brown, the great Tabitha Brown. She went and it made a lot of people mad, where she said that if you're an entrepreneur and it's not working out for you, you need to quit your job and go back to work, or you need to quit. You need to go back to your job. That's what she said. You need to go get a job. And I broke that down. I kind of gave some nuances. I'll actually share that video with you guys. I did it last night on my YouTube channel, and also it'll be on my Spotify podcast soon. If you don't know, I do have a podcast on Spotify. So if you are on Spotify, if you could go and follow my podcast, but then also follow Karma J, Kharma Jai. Karma J, her album is really good. She's part of the B1 community. She's on Fly Newbie Money regularly. Her other name is Tierra, and the album is really getting great reviews. And I love to see black entertainers that are truly B1 do really well, because that is important. Entertainment has influenced our people pretty heavily, sometimes in a negative way. So we have some investments in entertainment where we support those who have presented a good message. The Akila Nihonda, who's a great rapper out of Houston, we supported her for a long time. Infinity Song, that family, they're kind of like the Jackson Five. We supported them back in the day. Now they've blown up. Victory Boyd and their family got signed by Rock Nation. She's doing really well. The family is selling out venues in Europe right now. They're really, really good. D1, we've supported D1 for many years. He is now one of the most influential artists in the world. Kendrick Lamar shouted him out on his last album, and basically it came from the fact um, that he is changing culture. He's shifting hip hop culture. He's addressing murder music. He's saying to black people, why in the world would you support music that wants your children to die? Like, why would you support music that encourages your son to go to prison and get sexually assaulted for the next 20 years? Why would you support music that tells people to throw their money away so that you have the stress and strain of economic desperation for many years, right? So D1 is doing something that's very logical, and it's something that I've spoken on for a long time, probably since the 90s. I started seeing what hip hop was doing, and I said, this ain't it. This ain't, remember, I'm about the same age as DMX, and I knew DMX was going to die when DMX was 28 years old. I was sitting there in graduate school, and I saw him on tour with my friend Damon Dash. Damon and I became very good friends later, but I didn't, at that time I didn't know him. I was just a young guy watching what was going on TV, and I remember seeing him say, they said, so X, what you do while you on tour? He said, nothing. He said, nothing. I just smoke all day, F all night. I smoke all day, F all night, right? And I'm like, that's all you do is you smoke and you have sex all day. So number one, you're gonna catch AIDS or something. You're gonna catch some diseases because you shouldn't be sleeping with that many people. And then number two, you're gonna be a drug addict. I said, this dude ain't gonna live past 50. And I kid you not, so literally 20 years later, when he's having all these problems, I said, well, that's kind of the way life works. Life has an ugly chain reaction that we tend to deny. We don't really like accountability in some spaces in our community. I'm not gonna say our community because that's not our community, that's not our culture. But tell me if you agree. There's some spaces where accountability is just something that we just don't want to think about. We don't want to talk about consequences. We don't want to talk about cause and effect. Some people have forgotten that. And the universe ain't forgot it, but you forgot it. I see Negroes going to church every Sunday who living the craziest life when they walk out that building. But they think if I go to church and I sing hallelujah or whatever and pray to God, everything's going to be fixed in my life. And that's just not reality, right? So accountability is something that I believe in, something that we've talked about here on a regular basis. And it's not just a value attribute, it really connects to economics. Economic accountability goes a very long way. Once you really accept that you are responsible for 95% of your condition, then you will flourish to levels that you've never seen before. Once you accept that power, you have to accept that power that your choices are everything that created everything that's happening in your life for the most part. You have to accept that. Once you accept that, then everything becomes easy at that point. There's an old saying that says, what is it? Um, Victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. So everybody takes credit for the win, but don't nobody want to take credit for the loss. Everybody loves to brag about the good things they did, but they don't tell you about the bad. They like to take full responsibility for every wonderful thing I've accomplished. I went to school and I graduated and I overcame obstacles. But then when stuff goes wrong, it's like, well, called that Negro over there and called my mama did this and my cousin that son of a right? Just all this stuff. And another saying that's similar is that people say, what is it? Most of us are self-made, but only successful people are willing to admit it. Did you get that? Did you catch that? Most people are self-made, but only successful people are willing to admit it. So when people are successful, they're like, look at me, look at what I did. I did this. I accomplished this. I'm great. Look at how extraordinary I am. But then when they fail, it's like it's your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, right? So really with investing, it does go hand in hand with accountability. Basically simple things. The 5 year pledge. That's what the 5 year pledge says. If I become accountable for 5 years, 5 years will set up the next 10 generations. Literally, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. You get on that on ramp and become an investor. 5 years. I want a 5 year sacrifice, not hard. I just want you to keep doing what you're doing. You've been going to work every day. I want you to just keep doing that. You've been spending money every day or every week. Keep doing that. You're paying bills every month. Keep doing that. Just pay a bill to yourself. Match a bill. 500 is the recommended number, which is the average car note. Put that in the S&P 500. After 5 years, you should have roughly $38,000. After 10 years, you have roughly $99,000. After 20 years, you have roughly $350,000. After 30 years, you have almost a million. So in the next generation, we create millionaires. Can we agree on that? Next generation, we're creating winners, not losers. Let me know if you agree. Next generation, we're creating bosses, not just employees. Next generation, we're creating owners, not just renters. Next generation, we're creating investors, not just borrowers. Do we agree? Because capitalism is war. Capitalism's war. No way, no other way around it. And you can't show up to a battlefield with a butter knife. You can't show up for war and you ain't ready for war. You can't show up for war twerking and boots on the ground and waving where the fans at and all that. That's fine. Do all that in your spare time. But when it's time to go to war, you got to go to war. You got to be ready for the fight. Okay. So here's what I want to talk about today. First off, thank you, Chanel. Chanel's in the chat. Chanel is sharing the link. Last night, if you were there, we had a great first class for the new Coin cohort. Coin is a certified options investing network. So if you want to learn stock options, we got you. One membership supports the entire family, and also everything is yours for life. And so last night we had a really great time and Chanel is sharing the link. If you still want to join, last night was recorded. You can still catch up. It's not too late. The URL should be in the chat if you want to join at a discount. So feel free to click the link and take a look if you have an interest in getting your coins up by learning stock options. One interesting thing that's happening in the stock market right now that I wanted to address as well is Elon Musk just got this pay package offered to him by his board of directors, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's crazy. It's wild as hell. Basically, this new pay package means that he could literally make $1 trillion in his salary if he meets certain milestones. In fact, first thing it does is it gives him 423 million extra shares of stock. That right there is, I think it's worth about $150 billion. That right there is 150 billion. But then there's incentives and all these other things, and I'll read some of this to you, and then I'm going to talk about this because there's a lesson here in economic theory. It's a ridiculously large amount of money, 100%. But there's something here I want you to really understand in terms of understanding how money works, how running businesses work, and why there are lots of people who actually are cheering on this pay package. Let me read it to you a little bit, and then I'm going to show you some stuff to kind of give you something to think about so you can understand what's really going on here. All right. So it says here the Tesla's board on CNBC, it says Tesla's board is asking investors to approve a new pay plan for CEO Elon Musk for about $975 billion. The full award would give Musk more than 423 million additional shares. The company will also ask shareholders to vote on whether the automaker should invest in Musk's AI company XAI. So it says here, Tesla chairwoman Robin Denholm told CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin the plan was designed to keep the CEO, quote, motivated and focused on delivering for the company. If he performs, if he hits the super ambitious milestones that are in the plan, then he gets equity. It's 1% for each $500 billion of market cap plus operational milestones he has to hit in order to do that. So he gets a 13% stake. He currently holds 13% of the company. He would get more than that. Denholm confirmed that the Tesla CEO pay plan, if approved by shareholders, would not put any limit on where and how Musk spends his time or require him to spend any minimum number of hours per week on Tesla business. To obtain the first award in the plan, Musk and Tesla would need to almost double their current market cap to reach $2 trillion. The final benchmark is reaching an $8.5 trillion market cap. The operational milestones in the 2025 CEO Performance Award include 20 million. This is what Musk must deliver: 20 million Tesla vehicles delivered, 10 million active FSD subscribers, full self-driving. That's one of the models behind what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to buy the car and then pay a monthly fee for the software to create monthly recurring revenue. A million robots delivered, a million robo taxis in commercial operation, and a series of adjusted EBITDA benchmarks. That's earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation. Musk has remained politically embroiled while also running a collection of companies, including SpaceX, the Boring Company, health company Neuralink, and artificial intelligence venture XAI, which has merged with his social network X. In case you don't know, XAI is worth a couple $100 billion, and that's one of his side businesses. Tesla said in a filing Friday that it will ask shareholders at the November 6th meeting to vote on whether they should invest in XAI. Musk first floated the idea publicly with an informal poll on X last July asking whether Tesla should invest $5 billion into XAI. Okay, so these are his moves. These are, you might call them boss moves or shenanigans, depending on where you stand politically. I want to do a quick poll and ask you all just in the chat. Does this make sense to you? Do you believe he deserves the $1 trillion pay package or not? Give me a yes if you believe he deserves it. Give me a no if you think it's crazy or you wouldn't pay him that much money. Okay, I see. Let's see. Shirley says no. I did see a yes. Let's see. Stephen Polk says yes. LC Broadus says no. Lysandra, no, no, no. Okay. Kendall Green says yes. Danielle Jones says yes. Okay. Linda Holloman says no. Katrina, no. Tiffany, no. Etta, no. Dwayne, no. Okay. That's woo, buddy. That's a big one. That's a good one. All right, all right. That almost makes me want to even do a quick poll. Let me I'm gonna make this. See if I can make this poll real fast. Y'all know how I get on Zoom, all right? So, does he deserve the money? Okay, and I'm gonna put two answers: yes and no. Yes, and the other answer is no. Okay, so those who are in the Zoom, you can vote. Those who are not watching from the Zoom or you're watching the recording, make sure you text the word morning to 87948 and I'll invite you in the Zoom. All right. So, all right, so let me see if I can share this. Okay. Save as a webinar poll. Okay, come on, come on. All right, it's twirling. All right, yeah. So here's the thing. While that's setting up, here we go. So I'm gonna launch this poll right now. All right, so it's launched. I want you all to vote it quickly in the chat. Yes or no? Does Elon Musk deserve the $1 trillion pay package? The package is pretty massive. I don't think I've never seen anything like it. And I'm gonna analyze it for you and just kind of give you an assessment. And it look just in case you're wondering, I'm looking at the poll. Looks like the no's are winning right now. Um, and let me see here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else about this package that we should know. All right. No, I think we covered pretty much everything. Okay. All right. So we got all the details. All right. So I'm going to reveal the results of the poll in five, four, three, two, go. All right, in poll, share results. All right, 74% of you said no. 74% of you said he does not deserve the money. 26% of you said yes. All right, and all those answers are fair. All those answers are rational and reasonable. I completely get that. Some of you may have said no because the number just seems crazy. Some of you may have said no because you maybe politically don't like Elon Musk, and I respect that. I get that. Some of you may have said no because no human being is worth $1 trillion in on their job, right? And I get all of that, but the reason I wanted to talk about it was because I wanted you to understand why there are so many people who might actually think this is a good idea. Let me show you. Just first, I'm going to show you some evidence that proves that this is at least in the short term was a move that has a lot of people that appreciate it. I'm not gonna go ahead and just definitively say it's a great thing or anything like that because I know that this is a touchy topic, but I want to show you some information here that might help you see what might be going on here. All right. So the first thing is if you look here, let me share my screen and show you Tesla's stock price. This week, Tesla stock was going down, and you look here, people, your shareholders are your owners of your company. They tell you what they think with the stock price. The stock prices talk. They speak. That's how they vote. See, poor people vote with at the voting booth. Investors vote with dollar bills, right? So people that don't invest, they go to the polls and they vote, and sometimes it does what you want it to do, but investors vote with their money. So if you ever want to know, this is based on me as an academic researcher in this topic. Whenever we wanted to understand, when I've written tons of over a dozen peer-reviewed academic research papers in finance, and just so you know, to write these papers, you have to come up with something no one else in the history of finance has ever concluded or figured out before, right? So it's really hard to do. And one thing that we did as researchers is if we wanted to know if investors agreed or disagreed with a decision or an announcement or any release of information, we would look at the stock price reaction. That tells you everything. That's like a vote. So basically, shareholders, by improving Tesla stock price by 2.5%, which is actually a pretty big move, they're pretty much saying, hooray, we like this. We want this guy to get this money. And I guarantee you that the closer the pay package gets to being approved, any information that's released that confirms that this package is going to be accepted is going to probably lead to even higher price movement. So if you believe that this package is going to get approved, then Tesla stock might be a decent investment for you. It might end up giving you some wealth. But if you don't believe it's going to be approved, then you might go the other direction. But here's the point. Here's another point I want you to pay attention to. This company's worth over $1 trillion. So 1% of a trillion, if I do the math right, it's about $10 billion. So a 2.5% jump in the stock price is about a $25 billion wealth creation moment that was created merely just due to the fact that they even had this conversation. Just opening their mouths and releasing this information, making this announcement, allowed them to single-handedly create enough wealth out of thin air that it literally probably exceeds the economic value of damn near every black business in America. It exceeds the endowment of every HBCU in America combined. They literally manifested $25 billion. I think if you add up the endowments of every HBCU in America, it wouldn't match half of that number. I got to double check to be sure. I don't know if any HBCUs reached a billion in their endowment level. They're horrifically underfunded, which is the reason for the need to create a black economic ecosystem. You must create an economic ecosystem. You cannot have your institutions run off of government money, charity, and corporate donations. You will never have any true economic power if you do that. That's something and hopefully somebody from an HBCU is listening and they will go to their board or to their president and talk about this because it's absolutely devastating for those poor kids that are sort of living based on the whims of whether or not Trump decides to cut his DEI programs or Biden decides they want to fund HBCUs or not, right? So with that with that being said, um, circling back on the 25 billion created out of thin air, this is what I refer to about what it means, what it means to kind of be an economic god. What does a god do? A god snaps his fingers and things happen, things appear. And to some extent, when you have that type of power, when you are the boss, when you are the investor, when you are the owner, you have the ability to economically manifest. Everyone else is praying to the economic god. You go to work and you want more money because no one ever taught you how to own anything. You're praying to your boss, hey, can I get a raise? Or you're praying to the charities, or you're praying to the government, or whatever it is, right? You saw even in Washington, you see wealthy people praying to Trump now. It's kind of crazy, right? It's very very different reality, right? And so that's a secondary point about the importance of ownership. I think that you should train your children to be economic gods that can manifest an economic reality, who understand what value looks like and how to create it. Now, let's circle back to Elon Musk. Let's specifically finish that point. I'm not here to tell you whether or not you should agree that Musk should make $1 trillion or should have this package. I'm not here to tell you that at all. I'm not here to tell you to like him or to dislike him. I understand all of that. I'm just here to tell you how things work and why shareholders would be ecstatic to let this man have this pay package. It's not because he's doing $1 trillion worth of work for Tesla. Nobody can work hard enough to be worth $1 trillion. No one can work hard enough to be worth $1 billion. The reason that they're offering him this kind of a package is because of the enormous value that his presence can create for Tesla. What they're doing is they're saying, look, okay, we may not like it, but you're the thing. To have your investor in Tesla, you've more than doubled your money. That's okay. That's not bad. But if you've been an investor in Tesla since the early days, you made a 27,000% return on your investment. even if you go back to test, even if you go back to 2019, which wasn't that long ago, this stock was a $17 stock. A $17 stock. I met a young black man on a plane and I had a mask on, so he didn't know that I was I didn't know that he knew me. He knew me, but he didn't know it was me that he was talking to. And he was just telling me his Tesla story. And this young brother was on his way to South America. He lived in Medellin and he had houses in Medellin. And I said, "So how did you get all this?" He said, "I bought a bunch of Tesla stock." And he said, "Now I have millions of dollars." And he was 32 years old. And all this kid had been doing, I call them kids because I'm old now, I guess. I'm an OG. So this dude had just been buying Tesla stock. He was buying it when it was $10, $12, $15, and then it had risen up to here. So suddenly, I mean, if you look at that if you go from what 14, let's say $17 a share, or let's say 34 to make the math easy, $34 a share to 348. That means your $10,000 investment's worth 100,000. Your $100,000 investment's worth a million. If you start even lower, then you made even more money than that. So Tesla's investors are super loyal to Elon Musk. They don't care about what happened with the election and everything. They're not going to walk away from the person that helped them to make all this money. That's the first part. But then the second part is that there are some, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, there are many who believe that he's the guy that can guide them to the next level. The guy that can create the $8 trillion company that will create so much economic value for everyone else that they don't care if their economic lord and savior ends up making $1 trillion himself. They're happy to give him the trillion because they're looking and they're saying, "Hey, I invested 50,000 bucks and now I'm a millionaire." Right? So this is the reason that the pay package makes sense for investors, because investors aren't looking at it in the same way the rest of us look at it. Investors aren't looking at it and saying, "Man, ain't nobody worth that kind of money." Or they're not saying, "Well, this is how much I make. You should make more than me." Right? They're looking at it like, "Okay, look, if you're making money and I'm making money, then I don't care how much you make because I'm not watching your pockets. I'm watching my own." Right? I'm not counting your money. I'm counting mine. You see, and I'm not, and again, I think this is a great uh, thought process for everyone to sort of consider. I can tell you that the easiest way to struggle and stay broke is when you spend a lot of time pocket watching other people. When you're watching other people's money and you're mad because somebody else got a little more than you, that really is a scarcity mindset. I'm not saying Elon Musk and his crew are right or even that they're good people. I'm putting that to the side for a moment. But what I'm really saying to you is that um, let me say it like this. I heard I watched that Dallas Cowboys documentary, and I ain't gonna lie, I like some of what Jerry Jones had to say. He's a really interesting guy. And he said he had a quote on his desk that I thought was really great. He said, the quote was, "You can conquer the world as long as you're willing to give other people the credit." It was something like that. And that is similar in the sense that I've seen so many situations where good opportunities fall apart because one person is jealous of how much credit or how much money somebody else is getting. You and I go into business. I make 100,000, but you make 250. I think that's wrong. I don't like that. So I will throw away my 100 because I'm mad that you got 250. And I can just tell you that if that's your mindset, you're going to lose. You're not going to ever build anything great because you run into these situations. Let me tell you what I've learned over time. I learned the hard way over time that partnerships involve ambiguity, they involve frustration, they involve challenges, they involve constant adaptation, dealing with stuff you may not necessarily have to deal with if you're solo and independent. And the trauma response, this is why healing is so important. The trauma response is to walk away and just do it all by yourself. I can't stand my cousin, so I'm just doing it myself. I don't like my wife. I'm gonna go just do it by myself. I don't want to have to put up with this person's attitude, so I'm gonna do it by myself. And then you're losing by yourself. Again, circling back, since I was talking about the Cowboys documentary, anybody who knows football knows that the Dallas Cowboys had something really special in the 1990s. They were similar to the Chicago Bulls in that they got to the point where they could not lose. But because everyone gets to the point where they start thinking, "I can do this on my own," the team, at least Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson, who was the coach, they parted ways. And neither one of them has had the same level of success since they parted ways. Jimmy Johnson went to Miami. He wasn't able to win a Super Bowl anymore. Jerry Jones hasn't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. Hasn't even really come close. It's been terrible. It's been embarrassing for that team. It's been they called it the drought, the 30-year drought. And so I learned from that. I watched that and I say, okay, so if egos have been put to the side and everyone truly stopped worrying about who got the credit, they could have continued their success. And let me tell you where this is really applicable in my current life. Um, this year, some of you who went to the All Black National Convention probably noticed it was different. Some things had changed, and I wasn't the person who was responsible for all the changes, right? Some stuff happened, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to do it that way." Okay, but let me just see how this goes. And it was, and now mind you, just for the record, next year we're going back to the old model in terms of what you saw in 2024. But here's the thing even though things were different, and even though behind the scenes there was a lot of confusion at times, I learned a lot about leadership because I had to keep my team focused on the bigger goal. I said the bigger goal is we're going to make some Black history up in here. We're going to have the biggest, most extraordinary all Black national convention that we've ever had, and a key aspect of that is Dr. Ken Harris and the National Business League. I said they're going to bring people to the convention that normally would not come. They brought delegations from Africa. I met leaders from all around the world. They're going to bring millionaires and billionaires. They're bringing the Black Chamber of Commerce, the National Black, the president Charles DeBow, the National Black Chamber of Commerce was there, and so I said, look, I know it's going to be an adjustment, but we're going to ride this thing out. I said, as far as I'm concerned, my ego will never walk into the room with me when I'm making a decision. The goal will be the bigger picture. So here's the thing: the trade-off for all the challenges and then conversations about, well, who's taking credit for what and everything. The trade-off is that we literally had the greatest convention that we've ever had, definitely in terms of size and scale and everything else. Like we're not doing what InvestFest does. They're a little bit of a different kind of outfit. Like for example, we have enough black experts, so we don't really bring in white people on the stage. Not because we don't like white people, but because we believe we've got enough talent in our own community, and we want to make sure that gets highlighted. So we're not InvestFest, but we had massive numbers that were pretty impressive, right? So my point is to say, at the end of the day, I would encourage you to sort of learn from that. So I think with the Elon Musk thing, here's my point, and I'll mention a couple of financial theories that'll help you understand what's going on here in terms of CEO compensation. But I think the bigger idea is who gives a damn how much money this man's making individually? The question is value. That's what investors are thinking. That's why the stock price went up because they're like, great, if we can get Elon to focus on this company and making this company great, then we're all going to win. We're all going to make money. And that's more of an abundance mindset where there's plenty to go around for everybody. Being jealous of somebody else is never going to improve your situation. It will never improve it. But jealousy is very natural, and I get it. It happens. But I can tell you the best move I ever made as a human being was when I was about 29 years old, and I was feeling really jealous about something. But it had to do with a girl. I'm not gonna lie. And I just said, I got to get this out of my blood. I don't want to walk around. Jealousy took me away from who I really wanted to be. It doesn't make you big, it makes you small. Um, you become petty. It stresses you out. You find yourself trying to do impossible things. Like it's like, how am I going to really be out here getting mad because this lady's having a good experience with another man? I'm not the only man on the planet. She's not the only woman on the planet. But if all I'm doing is focus on what she's doing, where she's at, who she's with, then I'm going to miss all the blessings that are being put in front of me. There were so many great people I met, through life, and I was like, man, like really focusing on one person and one thing really makes you small. It really you operate on a lower vibrational frequency. So I'm not a big fan of jealousy at all. At all. Even to this day, if I see men admiring my wife, I say, yeah, of course you should admire my wife. She's freaking gorgeous. That means you got good taste. I get it. I mean, she's with me, but Hey, I don't blame you because that's a hot lady right there, right? So I think just figuring out how you can kind of balance that really can help you a lot in business because I do see a lot of unnecessary competition, jealousy, adversarial situations that undermine the ability to accomplish things as a collective. Okay. All right. Now let me, before I move on, I want to mention really quick also that I think Chanel's in the chat still, and she's got the link. If you still want to join Coin, everything's recorded. So the first night we did last night is recorded. I think you're gonna like it. And there's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee if you're not happy for any reason. Also, we're gonna do an AI conference soon. Right now, the team is working hard. Thank you, Chanel. The team is working hard to prepare for that. It's going to be virtual, so anybody can attend. And also, I want to mention that D1, the artist I mentioned earlier, he's one of the guys that we're sponsoring. The Black Business School sponsors a few D1 people that are doing good stuff. So D1 is doing his hypocritical hop tour, where he's going around the country to basically, change murder, confront murder music. He's doing a great day. So he's performing, but he's also bringing the community together in a way that I support. So what we agreed to do is every single venue we're buying 40 tickets on behalf of students in the Black Business School. So if you go to any of D1's venues and you're in the first 40 people that do this, if you go in and you just simply say, hey, I'm with Dr. Boyce, they will let you in for free. But you got to be the first 40. After 40, then there's no more tickets available. But feel free to go to d1music.com, DEE1, the number one music.com. And if you want to know why I wanted to do this, it's because I think supporting you by telling you that I like you or that I really want to see you do well is one thing. But I said, no, let me actually write a check. I wrote a check for him. I wrote a check for Dr. Claude Anderson. I wrote a check for King Randall School because he was building a school. And I said, you're getting it done. If you ever seen King Randall, he's a impressive young guy. He's down in Georgia. He's getting these black boys like just on this level that's just amazing. I mean, I just love what King Randall's doing. What else are we a part of? Of course, Dr. Claude Anderson. I mentioned that. LeVar Scott, the NASCAR driver, the black NASCAR driver. We support him. We send him. We write checks for him. Just so for people that things that we believe in. We can't write a check for everybody, right? Because money runs out. I'd like to have more resources to be able to do more stuff. That takes time. But the goal is to have impact. The goal is to see change. The goal is for us to grow. If we don't grow and really truly develop institutional frameworks to support each other, we ain't gonna win, man. I can sit here and talk to you all day about black economics and black success, and that matters for sure. Talking does matter, but talking has to eventually lead to some type of constructive action that will get a result, right? So I want to say thank you also for supporting the Black Business School because if you guys weren't stepping up, then we wouldn't be able to do any of this. So all this is an ecosystem. This is what we're developing here. All right. So let me give you a couple of financial theories that'll help you understand why some people might argue that Elon Musk's pay package doesn't just make sense, but that it's a win for Tesla's investors. First, there's something called agency theory, which describes the board of directors and their goal. The role of the board of directors is to protect the shareholders. Now, with Tesla, that's under question though, because he stacked the board with a lot of cronies. I think his brother's on the board and his best friends. So that becomes a little bit of a challenge. That's why when he got his previous pay package, the courts rejected it because they said you're doing a little bit of cronyism here, and that's a problem. So I don't know if this applies completely to Tesla, but one of the things that about boards, if they're doing their job properly, believe it or not, there's a whole massive like sector of financial research on just boards and how boards operate and incentives and everything is really amazing stuff. And so basically, if they're doing their job properly, these big pay packages are designed to create what they call incentive alignment. It's to align and to make the incentives between Elon and the company. So this pay package, that's the obvious goal. That's why they tie so much of his money to all these incentives and all these other things. Really, it's just like you want to incentivize your child to learn powernomics. Well, offer them $20 to finish the book, right? Or you want your child to go through the financial flashcards, say, hey, I'll give you $10 if you, or you could use negative reinforcement. You could say, I know you want to go skating today, but you ain't going nowhere until you go through and show me 5 financial terms that you've used or that you've learned today, right? From the flashcards or from the workbooks, right? I think that that's perfectly fine to do. In fact, Money is power. Money is power, and that power should be yours. You worked for it, and I encourage you to use that power in a constructive way. Why not use your wealth and resources to incentivize people in your family to do the right things? Like when people are trying to convince and persuade their relatives to get on board and to learn the stuff that they're learning, I say, look, don't just try to talk to them. Talk is cheap. Don't nobody they can ignore that. Just wait until they need something from you. So when that cousin comes and tries to borrow money, I might say, okay, I'll loan you some money, but I need you to do this for me first. I need you to come to class, or I need you to read this book and tell me what you read, or whatever it is, right? Like it's used all the time. It's used around the world. Why do you think the United States has so much power around the globe? Why do you think that they could go into any country and tell them what to do? It's the money, man. Yeah, and it happens in the black community every day. Why do you think we got so many freaking sellout Negroes on TV out here telling black people to do crazy stuff? Because somebody's lining their pocket, right? So this is a common thing. So what I want you to do is use that power in a good way. Use it to defend yourself. Number one, if you're economically free, then you can't be controlled by money. So that's the first goal. First goal is to liberate yourself. Before you get everybody else out the cage, you got to break out and take your own handcuffs off. And then once you break out the cage, you can do a Harriet Tubman to circle back and liberate a whole bunch of other people. I have a lot of people who do what I say because they know that I'm ready to write a check to show you what I support and what I don't support. Right? Even my kids, when they come to me, if they come to me with some nonsense, like I'm not financing that. Right? But if you come to me with something good, I'm like, oh, that's good for you. I like that for you. It's okay. Where can what do I have to do to help you to go in the direction that I think is best for you, right? So let me move forward. All right, so there's something called tournament theory, and tournament theory basically is related to the fact that CEOs kind of sit at the top of a hierarchy where promotion is pretty rare, and lavish compensation. It says here the lavish compensation at the top acts as a prize. So it motivates not only the CEO but also ambitious subordinates who see the potential payoff of reaching that level. Another one is human capital and scarcity. So Elon Musk is a superstar. He is valuable human capital for Tesla. This is another risk. If you do own Tesla stock, you have to be mindful of key man risk. If Elon Musk slips in the shower and dies, then Tesla stock will lose, $100 billion in value just like that. And so his superstar status is valuable, and a lot of firms will pay big money for a superstar. Starbucks, when they hired their CEO, nobody understood why they paid him so much money. Well, they understood as soon as the stock price popped 25%, the amount of money they made from the stock price movement exceeded the amount that they paid this man in compensation. Because they knew that there is something else called signaling theory, which says that if I make a move, there's signals things are going to be better. Then not only will public support rise and investor confidence rise, but it will show itself. It will show itself in economic value. It will show itself in dollar bills that I can put in the bank. Think about that, right? It's one thing if somebody's like, I believe in you, way to go. It's another thing if that literally is something you can literally take home and put in the bank, or you can buy food and eat it, right? Like like so with Black Lives Matter, when they had the whole Black Lives Matter movement, I was like, this is really awesome, but I needed to translate into a check, right? Like you're telling me Black Lives Matter, but I need you to make that into money. Like do what the stock market does. If the stock market loves you, they will reward you with cash. And this is one of the most empowering things about being an investor, which is why I want everybody in here to become a stock market investor. This is one thing that's non-negotiable with me. You're not gonna hear me waffle on this. I'm not backing off this. The stock market is the greatest wealth building engine in the history of this world. So the reason I want you in there is because I want you to feel the power of knowing, like, oh my God, something amazing just happened on TV. And I now have more money in the bank because of what happened on TV. That's a whole different level of real, right? That goes beyond just feeling good, like my favorite team won, or I went to church and got the Holy Ghost. Well, the Holy Ghost ain't gonna pay your rent, man. You know what I mean? Like feeling good is not gonna help you feed them damn kids. So when you see good positive information, oh, the economic numbers were strong today, and my stock went up by 2%, and now I've got an extra $3,000 to spend. That's a really good high. And it's supposed to feel good. You deserve to feel good because you've sacrificed for this. right? So and the more you sacrifice, the better you're going to feel, the bigger the reward, right? So do that, own that, and just know that this is one of the powers of investing. I don't want you to feel like somebody else is controlling your life. They shouldn't be controlling your life. That's your life. All right. So let me keep going. And if you're not sure how to start investing, feel free to take the 5-year pledge. Again, it's free. Once you do that, you'll get emails from me with information and all kinds of stuff. So just go to 5yearpledge.com, the word five, or you can also text the word money to the number 87948. I have a whole training called How to Make Money Without Working. It's really good. A million people have watched it, and I want 10 million more to watch it. It's so if you text the word money to the number 87948, then I'll send it to you and you can get started right there, right? So no excuses. You got this. All right. Two more things and then I'm done. I actually got a meeting with a nice young lady I met down here in Tulsa. Her name was Rachel. I don't have her last name, but she graduated from Ohio State in 2019, and she's been heavily inspired and influenced by the stuff that we're doing here. And she's working on her master's thesis and wants to get a doctorate. And she is one of the few first people that came up and said that I've been working on the link between trauma and financial decision making. And I said, wow, that's really impressive and cool. And I love the idea. If you ever want to get me like really happy and help me have a good day that day, or whatever you want to see me smile, come tell me about a young person who's making different decisions because of things that we're doing here, right? Because what I'm seeing is I'm seeing the future, right? I'm seeing a brilliant, bright, beautiful future for Black people. I'm seeing a world where we are healthy and healed and we are better than others. We're doing better, where we're just enlightened on a different level, where we're understanding the connection of all the things, right? All the mental health with the physical health, with the financial health, and how they're all related, and how others eventually come to us because they want to learn how to live a complete full life. Because I told you, America is suffering. America is hurting. This is not a healthy place in many ways, right? America is damn good at making money, but they're really bad at life. Because they sacrifice their lives to make money, and they're not even making money for themselves, they're making money for other people. So not only do I feel bad for Black people that are harmed by this system, but I feel bad for everybody. White people are getting butt kicked over this stuff too. And so ultimately when you start making those connections and understanding all that, like, yeah, I'm going to go get rich, but I'm also going to have a wealthy life. I'm also going to have a great family. I'm going to be mentally fulfilled and I'm going to pursue my passion. And like that to me is the win. That's the holy grail. And in economics, that's called utility. My goal is not to just talk about the money. The money is a pathway to utility. Utility is just overall happiness, because your money can be high, but your utility can be low. Meaning that your bank account can be fat, but your life can be on the bottom. Right. So keep that in mind as you build that wealth. I want you to build that life. And then when you have that balance, thank you, Natasha, that's a great word. Then you're gonna really see things that you probably could not see when you were stressed out and going to work every day and going from one bad relationship to another. That's a hell. All right, two more things. One is to explain the Elon Musk pay package. One is something called signaling theory. And signaling theory basically says that that the pay package is a signal of confidence, right? And it's basically signaling to shareholders that the company expects massive growth and they're willing to invest in this guy. That's why you saw the stock price go up. Signals are just pretty much anything that you might do that a person or an entity or whatever can interpret. As to allow them insights into what's happening, right? So I guess it's like if I'm smiling, maybe I'm signaling to you that something big is about to happen, or that if I say, "Oh, you got to come tomorrow because tomorrow's going to be a great day," then I'm sending a signal to you that tomorrow's going to be a good day. If I say, "Man, gosh, I'm really sad today. Things are terrible," and you see me with my head down, that's another type of signal. So companies signal to shareholders, and that translates into stock price movements. And then there's something else called the risk return trade-off. So basically, the larger the potential payout, the more the CEOs incentivized to produce high return, high risk strategies that shareholders might not otherwise receive. So basically, by tying Elon Musk's economics to the company's fate, they're creating this scenario where they're incentivizing him to take chances. They want Elon to be Elon. That's the crazy part. They don't like the political stuff. I think a lot of people that love Elon are not happy with his politics. Even the Republicans are like, dude, focus. We need you to focus. Don't put yourself in the crosshairs. But there is kind of like this, this thing where they're like, hey, look, the other part of you we really liked because that made us money. And whether you agree with that ethically or not is up to you. And if you don't like it, then you shouldn't be a shareholder, you shouldn't participate or whatever it is. But at the same time, though, I want you to understand the economics behind why this guy is actually quite powerful. And as much as people felt that burning Teslas in the street and stuff was going to really shut him down, it's going to be kind of hard. Because a lot of the people that are really most sinister in politics are so diversified that you can't help but to give them money. So Elon, if you destroy Tesla, he's got AI, he's got robots, he's got space satellites everywhere. He's building rocket ships that he says are going to go to Mars when really he's just trying to turn it into a company that can put satellites in the sky and make money, right? Or the Koch brothers. The Koch brothers are two notorious Republicans that everyone hated for a while, but it didn't matter because they were so diversified. They had so many different businesses that people that hated them were actually giving them money. And this is why also, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, it's very important to understand the workings of economic systems and capitalism, is because what I find is that people that are on the far left who just think, capitalism is 100% evil, businesses are evil, wealthy people are evil, the problem is that they end up blocking, they put on these blinders where they see the world completely through a Marxist, socialist, leftist lens. And the limitations of that is that you then are blindsided by the trickiness that the capitalists have. So you might claim to hate the capitalist, but then you go to work for him every Monday and you put money in his pocket. Or you might claim to hate the corporation, but maybe you're buying their products or you're putting money in their pocket. And a lot of that might come from the fact that you haven't taken the time to realize that all of us should be trained on all perspectives, right? If in my view, if you think about just politics, right? I love to learn from far left ideas like Marxism. Marxism is really fascinating. There's a lot of great ideas if you really pay attention to it. But I also want to learn this money side too, right? And if you learn all the different sides, then you can position yourself and your family in a way that is consistent with whatever values you believe in, and you understand what the other side is thinking. The biggest mistakes I think Democrats and Republicans make in America is that they don't talk to each other. They don't listen to each other. They don't pay attention to each other. They just swear that they're right, everyone else is an idiot, and that's all there is to it. I think that's the wrong way to go about anything. That really limits and minimizes your awareness. That kills your consciousness. Because consciousness is part of consciousness is sight. And you ain't gonna have no damn sight if you keeping your eyes closed. Can we agree on that? Do we agree on that? Right? So my challenge to you would be go find somebody you disagree with and just listen to them. Listen to them. And then if you really want to give yourself a test, try to see if you can understand why they might be right in some areas and you might be wrong. Or maybe why they just have a point. Maybe that's enough. If you can do that, then you will become a better thinker. Um, America is not a country that incentivizes thinking. It's not a country that rewards that kind of behavior, right? And in fact, actually, I just saw something today, and I gotta go, but I saw something today that just flipped me out. I was laughing because there was a former football player named Channing Crowder, who was double downing on this point um, about Russell Wilson, the football player, being a lame or being a simp because he married Sierra, the singer, and took care of her son. She had a son with this pathetic rapper named Future, this guy who has baby mamas and he's a drug addict and all this, or he promotes drug addiction anyway. And I just sat there and I said, man, this is so fascinating how our lack of critical thinking skill has literally led us to be a community where people have created the most toxic, most disgusting, shit-filled culture, shit-filled nonsense, and convince us that this is black culture. Like they literally took a crap on you, on your community, and we're literally like bathing in it. Like we're literally like, oh, this is black culture, y'all. Let me get some more of that black culture and put it on my armpit. Let me put something in my mouth. Let me just eat the black culture. That ain't black culture. That's garbage culture. The pimp culture, what the hell is that? That ain't black culture. That's sex trafficking. You go to prison for that for 30 years, right? Going wanting to go to prison. Why the hell would you want to raise a million black boys that are excited about going to prison? Prison's terrible. Have you seen what happens in prison? And so to me, that's as anti-black as you get. And I just said it's kind of sad and it's ridiculous. And I really am appreciative that you have the D1s and you have millions of people that are like, no, 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 no. This ain't black culture. This ain't who we are. We love each other. We love our kids. We love our women. We stand up as men. We our women are solid and wonderful and intelligent. Our communities happy and prosperous, and we love you. All this energy, and this is what creates wealth. This is a wealthy culture. Wealthy cultures create wealthy bank accounts. So the more you work on culture, the more you will be inherently working on your economics. And I encourage you to integrate both. Create a wealthy economic culture. In fact, if you read my book, my latest book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, you will find that book is all about culture. Because if you can't address the culture, then you can't address the economics. Because the economics spins out of culture. Okay. And if you want to get a copy of the book, just go to drboycebooks.com, drboycebooks.com. All right, guys. Have a good day. God bless you. Love you. Hope you do well today. I'll see you guys soon. And thank you, Chanel. You can put the coin link in there one more time. I'll give you a second to do that. So if you guys want to join the options class, you can do that. Also, again, if you text the word money to the number 87948, I'll see you in that training, how to make money without working. And I'll see you guys soon. To take care. Have a good one. Bye bye.